Hey, it's Al Angelo from A Plus Racing. The nice new shirts. Hey, I just got 4,000 hours and I got the 1,000 subscribers. I think I can start selling these on YouTube soon, so kind of watch for that. All right. Hey, so I believe it's Joe Cheeseman sent me a message, could be John, sent me a message that, a comment like, how would I replace the pan gasket on my Miata if I don't have a lift? All right, and I was starting to type it all out, and I could tell that this was going to get lengthy, so this is for you, buddy. All right, so if I was at home and I have a garage and I was supposed to replace the pan gasket on it, there's two ways I can do it. One, I can pull the engine out. I can still do it on the floor on jack stands. And to tell you the truth, that's probably the way I would do it. If I didn't have a cherry picker, I know they rent them, and you can just go to a rental place and they'll rent you out a cherry picker pretty cheap. You can even tow it behind a car home. And so I would probably do that. I would still pull the engine and transmission out together. The reason why I always pull the engine and transmission out together is because when I have to take the engine out and I've got to take all of the bell housing bolts off, it takes me longer to take all the bell housing bolts off than it does to just disconnect the transmission, the drive shaft, the support brace, the speedometer cable, the 4 wires that go to it, the clutch slave cylinder. I can take those off in a matter of like 10 to 15 minutes, but if I had to try to get all those bolts off, including the starter, it's a lot more time. It's a lot more difficult. So I just undo the back of the transmission, I leave it attached to the engine, and I pull them out together. So long as you had the car probably just a foot and a half or two above the ground. Matter of fact, I'm going to let my camera guy point at this car. We're going to paint this one. But as you can see, that this car is probably high enough off the ground that I could probably go ahead and pull the engine out right here, okay? I would probably take the hood off, okay? That gives me a little more room with the cherry picker. I would also make sure that the cherry picker is as close down to the engine on the chain as it can be, all right? That gives me plenty of room to come up and I don't run out of cherry picker. So I would probably do that. And then once I got the engine transmission out, then I would go ahead and drop the pan. I was just thinking, I've done this twice when customers have broke the oil pan on the car out of the track. And I can't remember if I pulled the transmission off or not. I think I left the transmission on. But if you're replacing the pan gasket and you're going to take it down, this might be a good time to do the rear main seal. So if you got the pan off, the rear main seal is only held on with a few bolts, and you can pull that off and replace that also. So in that case, you would be disconnecting the transmission. I find that when going back together, it's a lot easier to put the engine and transmission back in the car together, all right? So those people who are putting the engine in and the transmission is still in the car, you have to line up the engine perfectly straight, you know, get it stabbed into the clutch. The clutch has to go into the input shaft and all of that, and everything has to be lined up just perfect for it to marry together. Where when we have it here on the ground, it's really easy to put the transmission up to the engine, bolt it all up, bolt the starter up. I always disconnect the battery when I pull the engine out, and then I disconnect the wires going to the starter. And I pull the starter out with the transmission and the engine so they come out in one piece. It's just a lot easier for me to deal with that right here than it is in there, okay? So I hope that answers your question. I hope maybe, and this question's been asked to me before. So if you don't have the room, I would definitely still try to pull it out here. If you have to pull the pan off in the car, it's a lot of work. You're going to have to make a support to hang the engine. So you could get some like 2x4s or something across here, strong enough to hold the engine and the weight of the transmission. And then you're going to have to drop the subframe and the brake system, the suspension, everything will go down on one piece. I did it like that once, okay? When I first started out, only one time did I ever do that because it wasn't easy, all right? It was a lot of work. And it's just faster. On a Spec Miata, I can have the engine out in 25 minutes. So it's just super easy for me to pull the engine out. I hope that answers your question. I hope that you guys subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support and all the comments that you guys have made. And I'll see you at the racetrack. Bye now.